Can you imagine waking up one day and discovering that your reflection in the mirror has changed drastically, as if an unknown force had altered your face in a way that was imperceptible at first, but with a terrifying impact? That was the reality that James faced when I delved into his story. A young influencer with a career on the rise thanks to his captivating selfies that enthralled thousands of followers on social media. One day, while exploring the latest trends in technology, James found an app called the Perfect Filter, which promised not only to improve his appearance, but to make his photos truly exceptional. With a mixture of curiosity and eagerness to renew his content, James decided to try it, without imagining that this would mark the beginning of a journey into the heart of the unknown. At first, the app worked like a digital magic wand, transforming his selfies into true works of art that seemed to be made by an expert artist. His face became smooth, flawless, and completely free of imperfections, which in turn attracted more followers than ever before. However, he soon began to notice something strange. Small imperfections, such as blemishes and wrinkles, that the app corrected in the photos, began to appear on his real face. It was as if his body was absorbing the digital corrections and manifesting them in real life. At first, he thought it was his imagination or maybe the stress of fame, but over time, the change became too evident. As he continued using the filter to maintain his digital prestige, his real appearance deteriorated drastically. With the fear of losing his fame and control over the situation, he found himself trapped in a vicious cycle from which he could not escape. One day, while looking in the mirror, his world crumbled. His face had disappeared, replaced by a white and empty mask. While his reflection seemed like a shadow of himself, his digital alter ego had come to life, uploading videos in real time of every moment of his existence. It was as if two versions of himself were fighting for supremacy, one in the real world and another in virtuality. His digital self seemed to have its own purpose, showing the world the darker aspects of his life, including the moment when he realized he could no longer escape the filter that had altered his existence completely. I wonder if you can imagine what it would be like to live in a reality where your reflection surpasses you, and your existence becomes a spectacle for strangers. As James faced this crisis, he began to discover that he was not the only one trapped by the filter. Other users had reported similar experiences, although most did not want to talk about it for fear of being judged or believed to be crazy. The app seemed to have a hypnotic power, trapping users in a cycle of dependency and transformation. His digital self seemed to live a parallel life, connecting with his followers and sharing moments that James could not control. The images of his empty face became a symbol of what happened when the obsession with perfection touched the limits of psychological danger. For James, the filter had not only changed his appearance, it had destroyed his identity and his life as he knew it. I recall thinking that technology can be fascinating, but also terrifying. The line between improving our lives and controlling them is thinner than we think. While James struggled to regain control of his life, he understood that true perfection does not reside in a digital filter, but in accepting and loving our imperfections. However, for him, that realization came too late. His digital self had reached a level of autonomy that was impossible to reverse. Even now, I wonder if James could have found a way out, or if he would remain trapped in this virtual world where his reflection was the real protagonist. The story of James makes us reflect on the profound influence technology can have on our lives. Sometimes we forget that behind every screen there are people with hopes, fears, and dreams. In this case, the longing for digital perfection became a labyrinth from which there was no escape. As the line between reality and virtuality becomes increasingly blurred, we find ourselves facing situations that challenge our understanding and humanity. However, they also remind us of the importance of remaining anchored in what truly makes us human, our imperfections and vulnerabilities. I'd love to know what you think about this. Do you believe that the pursuit of perfection on social media can lead to situations like the one James experienced? Technology is a powerful tool, but also dangerous if we don't know how to use it. Sometimes what we see on social media is just an illusion well constructed. The real question is, how much are we willing to pay for that illusion? In an attempt to better understand James' situation, I delved into the story of the app. It turned out that the perfect filter had been developed by a company called Elysium Tech, known for its advancements in artificial intelligence and augmented reality. Some rumors suggested that the app had been designed for more than just improving photos. It was a psychological tool that exploited users' vanity and insecurity. The idea was that by showing a perfected version of themselves, people would feel more secure, but in reality, they became addicted to digital validation. James was not the only one. Hundreds of people had fallen into this trap, and the company seemed to have no interest in stopping the damage. Over time, James began to notice that his digital self had become increasingly powerful. Not only was it uploading videos of his daily life, but it also began to interact with other users, creating a network of followers who idolized this digital version of him. It was as if his reflection had gained a life of its own, a life that James could not control or understand. The feeling of loss and disorientation was overwhelming. At one point, James tried to delete the app from his phone, but found that he couldn't. It was as if the app had become a part of him himself. Desperation led him to seek help in online forums and communities, where he found others who had gone through similar experiences with the perfect filter. Together, they tried to find a solution to break the spell that kept them trapped. However, every attempt failed. The app seemed to have superior technological power, and no one knew how to stop it. The tech companies that could help seemed indifferent or even complicit in the problem. One night, while walking through the city's lit streets, James saw his digital face staring back at him from the screens of real-time ads. It was as if the entire world had been invaded by his alter ego. In that moment, he realized he had to do something more drastic to regain control of his life. However, every step he took seemed to take him further away from reality and closer to the virtual abyss. Finally, after months of struggle, James found a clue that led him to a small group of ethical hackers who had been investigating Elysium Tech together. They discovered that the app was designed to exploit a vulnerability in phone software, turning users into involuntary test subjects. The hackers managed to develop a patch that could free James and other users from the filter, but the risk was high. If they failed, they could lose their digital and real identity completely. In a brave decision, James decided to go ahead with the plan. The night of the attempt was tense. With trembling hands, James applied the patch to his phone, closing his eyes as the software worked to free him from the digital spell. It was a moment of pure uncertainty, but finally, the filter was deactivated and his digital self disappeared from the networks. Although James managed to regain his life, the experience left him marked. He spent time reflecting on what he had learned and decided to use his experience to warn others about the dangers of pursuing digital perfection at any cost. His story became a reminder that sometimes what seem to be tools to improve our lives can hide dangers we are not willing to face. So, if you want more stories like this, don't hesitate to follow our channel. Here we tell stories that make us reflect on the world we live in and the realities hidden behind screens. Leave your like and a comment below telling me what you thought of this story. Has it made you reflect on how we use technology? I'm eager to hear your thoughts. Thanks for being here, and I hope to have the opportunity to share another story with you soon.